Welcome to Fusion Fiction. Join us as we explore the limitless boundaries of imagination, bringing you captivating stories that unfold with every episode. Let your ears be the canvas where characters come to life, plots twist and turn, and emotions resonate long after the final word. Immerse yourself in the magic of storytelling with Fusion Fiction on Spotify with your host, Madhulika Rajahan, where genres blend seamlessly and every episode promises a new discovery. A warm hello to all of you who have tuned in. My heart is filled with so much gratitude with the kind of response you have given to my stories. It really means a lot to me. So, thanks a lot for listening in. Most of you have asked me how I wrote about a man's voice being a woman. And to answer that question, I guess as an author, one tries to write different characters and voices. And the beauty of short stories is that they allow you to be anybody at any time. So that's about the chemistry book. For our next episode of Fusion Fiction, the ninth in the series, we have yet another story, The Diary. A courtroom drama, a forbidden affair, and a diary that could destroy it all. Ravinder Singh's political career is on the brink. What's hidden in Namrata Lodhi's diary? Could it be enough to bring down a powerful man? Or will it just be dismissed? Explore the twists and turns of the diary where the truth is elusive and every word counts. To find out more if the truth really triumphs, tune into Fusion Fiction on 17th of October. The Diary. Ravindra Singh's discussion this morning with his attorney had neither been foreseen nor preordained. The presence of the new revelation in the case had changed the course of the entire litigation. The diary. A diary? Are you kidding me? Ravinder spat, his voice angsty with frustration as he paced the cramped office. In this day and age, who still writes a damn diary? His words hung in the air, but the unspoken fear lingered. What secrets had Namrata really kept? The large section of red and black books covered the lawyer's open library, touching the ceiling of the room. It turned up in the CBI's search. Mr. Advani replied. His tone cool, almost indifferent. These things have a way of surfacing when you least expect them. He was the advocate, a portly man who, after years of practice, had hardened like the most seasoned of criminals. His ability to control his tongue in the face of most sinister comments from his opponents had become his signature to success. Over the years, he could sense a winning case like a predator senses the prey and would take it if he had the chance to win. This case was no different. With no evidence to go against his client, the young and popular political scion Ravinder Singh, a tough, stocky, confident man whose swaggering manner and rustic good looks had earned him a reputation of being not just a street smart politician with an eye for the main chance, but also something of a ladies' man. Mr. Advani was sure Ravinder Singh would go scot-free. It mattered less to him if his client had indeed committed the crime. He had learnt early on in his career that ethics mattered less in the path to success. Like his namesake in Mahabharata, Arjun, he too only kept his eye on winning and everything else mattered less. The plastered plaque in his office where Lord Krishna gave the sermon of Gita amid the battlefield was something he had internalized over the period of his illustrious career. A more virtuous sermon of Satyamev Jayatev, truth always wins, was conveniently hugged outside for the outsiders to see. But the public talk and uproar had turned the tables somewhat in this case. But then Mr. Advani had expected it. In fact, cautioned against it. A national tennis champion, Rehan Lodi, killed in broad daylight, unprovoked, seemingly without motive. This was headline news. The case quickly snowballed into a political potboiler, as an alleged affair with the politician and the deceased wife surfaced. The cops were under immense pressure to deliver justice, and the case was transferred to the CBI to ensure no obstruction of justice was possible. It was Namrata, the champion's wife, who had been questioned repeatedly. The media mentioned about the trouble at home, which had perhaps led the champion to lose his ace form and later his life. Ravindra Singh had been directed to Mr. Advani at the behest of party high command of Jan Sangharsh Party, a ruling party in the state of Madhya Pradesh, after his name got splashed all over the front page in connection to the case. Ravindra Singh was stated to be a good friend of the Lodi couple and played regularly with Lodi whenever he got the chance. It gave him the much needed alibi to meet Namrata, the charming wife of the player. She's fit to be a queen, Ravinder had thought when he first laid eyes on Namrata, the sweat beauty with enormous doe eyes, her long black tresses, her ample body, and her plush lips. Ravinder wanted nothing else but to be near Namrata at all cost. Befriending her husband gave him an access route to her, slowly but surely. What's in that diary? Did they find anything that could? He hesitated and then forced himself to ask. That could ruin me? They're playing it close to the chest. Nothing concrete. Not yet. Mr. Advani paused, adding with a wry smile that it's not what's written that worries me. It's how they will twist it. He glanced at his watch to check the next appointment. It had been past the time he had scheduled for this case for the day. You could have asked her directly, Ravinderji, Arjun said, with a slight hint of mockery in his steady black eyes. Aapko pata hai how it is, Advani ji. I'm not allowed to meet her after the case has come up. The party high command goes livid each time I ask for their permission to meet her, Ravinder had said, raising his voice a pitch higher, venting his frustration. He cracked his knuckles. CBI sleuth to Namrata Lodi. Do you know him? Pointing to Ravinder's picture. Do you know him? Namrata. Yes. Sleuth, just how close were you and Ravinder Singh? The question was laced with insinuation. Namrata. Close enough to care, but not in a way you are implying. Her voice was steady, but her fingers gripped the edge of the table. Sleuth. Care to clarify, or should we spell it out for you? The sleuth's gaze bore into her, waiting for a slip. Namrata. Calm yet defensive. What you're fishing for isn't here. We were friends, that's all. Sleuth. Okay, what was the first time when you established an extramarital relationship with him? Namrata. What do you want to know? I can't understand. As the investigator's question lingered in the air, Namrata's mind drifted back to a time where things were simpler, before Rehan's jealousy and Ravinder's advances complicated everything. She had never imagined she'd end up here, defending herself against the accusations she could barely comprehend. The past seemed so distant now, yet so painfully close. She had to be cautious, stone-faced, yet she was vulnerable, wanting to break free from the life she had found herself shackled in, a quicksand she could not see an outlet of. After the interrogation, Namrata sat in her empty apartment, the silence pressing down on her. The CBI's question had been relentless, but it was her own memories that haunted her now. It had been love for sure, when Rehan, or so it seemed then. He was the invincible champion, caring and loving, but somehow their chemistry on the game court could not translate into a blissful marriage. Her mother's words stung her each time the couple had a fight. "He's not fit for you, Namrata," she had reasoned when Namrata was adamant to marry him. She felt he was possessive and regressive. His earthiness and down to earth charm, which had appealed to her once, became an impediment in her growth. The fact that he was losing his ace form on the court bothered her too. But there was no respite. Ravinder's growing fondness for Namrata was not something which had been missed by her mother or her husband. While her mother had rather approved of the illicit relationship more heartily with Ravinder, making her bolder to pursue her instinct, Rehan's suspicion had grown multifold. Far from the interrogation room, Ravinder sat circling his fingers cautiously around the heavy glass paperweight holding the letters which had come in for the day, wondering how she had fared in the interrogation. The silence was unnerving. "She will have to deny the contents as invalid," Arjun Advani sagaciously suggested as he walked in Ravinder's office. "But how? It's her handwriting and everyone knows it." Arjun smiled reassuringly at Ravinder and stated, "That doesn't prove the motive of the crime. It's just a tantalizing detail, a detour at best, not a weapon. Don't worry, I'll train her." Leaving Mr. Advani in his office, Ravinder could still hear the lawyer's words echoing in his mind. "Don't worry, I'll train her." But how much training could prepare Namrata for the questions she was facing? She had been coached well. Every word, every gesture had been rehearsed. But as the trial began, he wondered if she could really pull it off. Namrata, too, felt the weight of the lawyer's advice as she took her place on the stand, determined to follow his every instruction. The courtroom buzzed with anticipation as the day of the trial arrived. Ravinder could feel the weight of the public's eye on him as he entered. His lawyer had warned him about the diary, but seeing it laid out as evidence made it all too real. Across the room, Namrata looked pale but resolute, ready to face whatever came next. "Your Honor, I'd like to read some excerpts from Exhibit B, which has been submitted in the court already," suggested the young state attorney representing the case. He looked at Ravinder and Arjun triumphantly as he felt his exhibit had the potential to turn the case over. The CBI had touted it to be the explosive and important piece of evidence. The courtroom was tense as the prosecution prepared to present their star evidence. Ravinder shifted in his seat, feeling the eyes of the jury on him. Then came the moment everyone had been waiting for. The diary was placed on the stand. Namrata's breath caught her in her throat as she saw it, the small, unassuming book that had the power to change everything. Prosecutor: "So, Miss Namrata, care to explain these entries?" February 23rd, 1986. R2 came on to me again at midnight. Today was unusual, sent raptures, ecstasy. I have never seen him like that before. What exactly do you mean by that? Namrata: "Imagination," she replied steadily, but her voice flattened for a split second. "Just imagination, nothing more." "So, Miss Namrata," he said, walking over towards a slightly shaken girl standing on the other side of the wooden frame, "is this your diary?" She nodded wordlessly, understanding the futility of her denial. "Can you please say a yes a little louder so everyone can hear it?" "Yes." "Why have you made a reference to Ravinder Singh in your personal diary?" he said slowly. There was a long pause where she pondered, putting her thoughts together. A stifling silence prevailed in the courtroom, eager to hear her speak. The air damp with anticipation. Finally heaving a sigh, she said, "Yes, I mentioned Ravinder in my diary because he was a friend, a close one. But what you're suggesting, that never happened." Her voice wavered for a moment, then grew stronger. "If there's one thing I'm guilty of, it's trying to make my husband jealous. But affairs, that's not who I am." She paused, eyes scanning the courtroom. "I may have written it in the diary, but not everything you read is the truth." She looked at the public prosecutor, avoiding the eyes of the others in the courtroom. She had to stay focused on sounding convincing. "Rehan was very possessive about me. I had used my flight of imagination to write a certain thing in the diary only to tease him. Rehan had read every line I had written." She paused. "And every time I wanted to tease him, I used to refer to the diary." Her eyes welled up at the mention of her dead husband. Wiping them with her hands, she continued, "If I had anything to hide, do you really think I'll leave it lying around for the CBI to find?" She let the question hang in the air, then added softly, almost to herself, "I'm not that reckless or that stupid." Her eyes intently followed those in the room. Had she been convincing? She did not know yet, but the public prosecutor's question had stopped. The silence was deafening as she put forth her logic. The public prosecutor had not expected it. Not in the least, but her logic seemed plausible, and there was no knowing a woman's mind set out to make trouble. The exhibit on which the prosecutor and the CBI had pinned their hopes had turned out to be just an ordinary twist. The court was adjourned that day, and the prime suspect walked off, keeping a straight face as she walked out of the busy courtroom. The diary was nothing more than trash now. As the trial drew to a close, the courtroom's tension began to dissipate. The diary, once the centerpiece of the prosecution's case, now felt like little more than a footnote. But as Ravinder left the courtroom, he couldn't help but wonder, what would become of it? Would it truly be forgotten? Or would its secrets resurface in time?